Hi, my name is Steve Gale. I'm a traveler, artist, and castle ruins enthusiast. Since 2008, my wife Ann and I have visited over 50 castle ruins in 10 countries. These ruins have varied tremendously, both in level of decay and in experience.
The one that kicked this off for me is located in central Romania, in a district known as Transylvania. I was on a Dracula tour in a bus traveling from one destination to another when we passed a castle that immediately grabbed everyone's attention as we sped by. You can see from this image a beaten path through the field leading to its walls, and a door. This path led to a way through the wall into the castle grounds. That means if you could get there and park, you could enter the thing and explore to your heart's content. A year or so later, I was absorbed by that prospect and decided to try to identify and locate this amazing relic. I used an old itinerary to figure out the points we had begun that day and where we were headed, and all the highway options in between. Then I used Google Earth to slowly move along these routes in the hopes of identifying it from an aerial view. It took 2 weeks, but there it was, the Rupia Citadel.
At that point, Romania was still a little scary to visit, having been part of the Soviet bloc just 10 years prior. So I decided to start looking for ruins in other more accessible countries, starting with Belgium in the hopes of working my way back to Romania someday. And my life as a castle hunter began.
For those who may be interested in seeing these pillars of history, I've prepared a presentation that might help you plan your own trip. The full presentation is far more comprehensive than this intro primer to castle hunting in Europe. Europe's landscape is riddled with the remains of ancient structures that have served to house and defend seats of power. They range from a few crumbled walls to standing structures with rooms, passageways, and staircases. And the experiences of exploring these varied vestiges differ as much as the ruins themselves. To help organize possible objectives, I've broken them into 4 distinct categories: castle hotels, tourist attractions, national historic trusts, and abandoned derelicts. Kilronan, pictured here, is one of several Irish hotels built on and incorporating a historical site. Typically the exterior, and perhaps a lobby or common area, may have survived the castle's long history. Rarely will your room look like anything other than what you would expect from any hotel. They will sometimes offer stately grounds, gardens, hills, maybe a lake. In the end, such a hotel may leave you feeling like you have stayed in something castle-ish, but any sense of what it may have been prior to today's comforts will be largely lost. But there is one castle hotel I've stayed in that really delivered: Borthwick Castle outside of Glasgow, Scotland. Lord Borthwick was compelled to vacate by Oliver Cromwell's relentless assault, causing the damage pictured here. Except for the presence of electricity, our room looked like it may have hundreds of years ago. You know you're staying in a castle when you open the door and see not a hallway, but this. It's worthy of note that Mary, Queen of Scots, spent her wedding night in this very castle. Tourist attraction ruins. Typically a great experience, these castles always have a reasonable entry fee and often come with gift shops and guide resources, like audio guides in various languages. Sometimes they even offer educational centers and cafes. Calling it a tourist attraction makes it sound a bit kitschy, but as commercial as that might come off, I don't think I've ever visited one and left disappointed. Here are some examples. The Château Feudal de la Roche-en-Ardenne. The first thing I saw as I entered the town was the looming chateau perched above the new construction. This site offers rich history and boasts the presence of a past dweller's ghost. It's a beautiful ruin with many exciting areas to explore. Some features you can see in this type of castle include insane-looking stairways, dungeon-like subterranean chambers, and passageways. Another outstanding example in Alsatian France is Castle Fleckenstein, a remarkable structure partly carved out of the rocky hill on which it sits. It even has a secret stairway adjacent to the main stairway that was originally concealed and also carved through the stone base. National Historic Trusts. These ruins are usually accessible for exploration with no entry fee. Some places, Scotland comes to mind, offers an inexpensive pass to explore any National Trust castle in the country. That seems more rare though. More typically there is no ticket counter, office, cafe, or gift shop. Visitors need to rely on a kiosk for any available details of the castle's past. It's not unusual that you can get a few floors up or into a tower. Many have enclosed rooms, passageways, and stairwells that are freely accessible. Here are a few of my favorites. The castle at Newry, England offers a stark contrast between the intact-looking front and the crumbled back. This castle, and others I visited in the UK, tell the story of how these ancient fortresses were breached and the surprising function of a moat. 5 years after I first caught a glimpse of Kilchurn Castle on the banks of Loch Awe, Scotland, I finally made arrangements to allow a visit. I stayed in the area for this one as I wanted to see how it looked illuminated by the first rays of the sun. I was not disappointed. The otherwise gray castle lit up in deep, rich yellow, providing an image I would later paint in watercolor, using the water from the very loch on which the castle sits. Another great ruin that took me years to get to was the ancestral home of the Frankensteins of Germany. With its ties to Mary Shelley's masterpiece, and possibly even the person who inspired the character of Victor Frankenstein, Burg Frankenstein was a castle that demanded more than just a quick visit. This drawing was created to capture the castle's mountainside approach, showcasing its layering of walls. I stayed in the small village of Malchin, and my last morning there took the pre-dawn 2-mile hike up the mountain to see it dance with the sun. One great thing about this class of ruin, no ticket counter or office means no hours. My early morning hike was rewarded with an open gate. This monolith was transformed by the morning sun from stony gray to orange and pink for a few minutes, also giving me the subject for one of my most successful paintings. When circumstances allow, I exhibit my artwork born of my castle hunting adventures. I hope someday you get to see my body of work. If you're interested in the connections between ruined stone sites and stories of classic horror, I hope someday you'll catch my presentation, Strange Tales in Stone. Abandoned derelicts. My favorite class of castle ruin. Abandoned derelicts, which I also sometimes called wild castles, are not formally presented in any way. This is as authentic as a ruin gets, typically completely abandoned and forgotten. Sometimes these are located in the woods or on a hill surrounded by a field and often require a bit of a hike to see. No information is displayed. If you want its history, your best bet is Google, but the extra effort it takes to visit is usually worth it. Of all my castle experiences, my favorite is Carrigogunoodle in Ireland. Located in the middle of a farmer's field with very clear "do not enter" signs, this one almost didn't happen. But before we bailed, Anne saw what looked like a small access road. The road led right to the castle, and the result was the best 2 or 3 hours of castle exploration ever. This drawing is from the inside of a tower that shows rooms which will never be visited, as time has evaporated the once spiraling staircase. On that same trip was Fidon Castle, located in the center of a series of horse pastures. We tracked down the people who owned the land, thus the castle, and made the 1.5-mile hike to this beauty. Given the key to enter through the main wall and access to tower, the castle held back no secrets. Sometimes the adventure comes with a little risk. Ballyadams, also in Ireland, is located on grounds owned by a gun club and clearly waves off trespassers. The open door was more than I could resist, so I dared to make the dash across the open field for a quick exploration of this one. Totally worth it. I hope this short intro video has enticed you sufficiently to attend my next full presentation of castle hunting in Europe. Till then, stay healthy, safe, and always remember to first test the stairs in ancient buildings.